Well, day 4 of fall camp for the West Virginia football team is in the books. So that makes it time to talk about what's happened so far and expectations. This is WVU football going deep. I am Forrest Poston. I am doing this live because I do not have the time or the energy to do any editing. So we'll just have to deal with it as is. Well, screw it. Uh, my apologies. It's not going to be a great video, but it's going to be a video. Hey, watch me fall apart on screen. And in spite of that, please subscribe, share, click thumbs up, make comments, and tell your friends, click the notification bell, all those things that I always ask you to do. Um, well, basically, it's good news. I can't think of anything I have heard in the last few days that was negative. Uh, Now, also, not a lot of surprises or, yippies or anything like that. So it'll probably be a fairly short video, though you do know how I love to ramble. Uh, Jordan Leslie did an interview, uh, press conference, whatever you want to call it. A few things from that. Uh, Possibly long term, the most significant might be Jacolby Spells. Uh, Not only is he recovering well from his injury, it seems the light has gone on. And that is understanding what it really takes to play well at this level, at the top end of college football. And that is, I mean, that's a mental thing. It's really a preparation thing. I say Spells is taking care of his body more. He's practicing better. He's, thinking more, and he's understanding more, and he's stronger. Some of this, the preparation means doing that extra in the weight room, taking care of your body. So Spells has actually been a standout in camp so far, even though he is technically limited in participation, not doing tackling drills and that sort of thing. He's been great in coverage. He's been getting noticed. So that bodes well for the defensive backfield. Uh, Special interest to me, uh, Leslie did say, he thinks linebackers in some programs are undervalued. And he considers, don't worry, the general of the defense, something like that, I can't remember. But yeah, I talked about them being the heart of the defense. They are sort of the center. They're between the front and the back, and they're in the middle. So they affect everything. And I've talked many times about how it was issues at linebacker that put pressure on the safeties and made the safeties look bad. It was mistakes in run fit. It was poor, coverage, particularly after Lathan went down. Kobo was a problem. He was an exciting problem, but he did not develop into the linebacker anybody hoped. So, well, by golly, it seems that the defensive coordinator and I agree on something, and I'm going to take some credit for that. Not for what he thinks, but credit for thinking like a defensive coordinator. One of the big changes, it's getting talked about a little bit, But a lot of people can coach now who weren't allowed to before, such as analysts. You can have a ton of coaches. This means that you have somebody who can work just with defensive ends, or just with this, not just with a room, but with a subgroup within the room. So you have people teaching very specialized things in some of the drills. And that, that can make a world of difference. It's also fortunate that Coach Brown has believed in trying to bring in these young people who are capable of coaching and helping them work their way up. So we have good coaches who were previously analysts, are still analysts, but are now good at this additional responsibility. Now, of course, all teams have this same advantage. Difference may be in how well they take advantage of it. And if you did not make sure that that analyst you hired was a good coach, you may have a problem. We'll see. Now, Chad Scott, always love hearing Chad Scott talk, and he is excited about this team. In general, I mean, particularly with the returning guys, so they are trusting themselves more. So they're not pressing, they're not trying to make big plays, and therefore are making more big plays. Because last year was sort of train the instinct. This year is let the instinct go. So they're doing small things naturally, trusting their abilities. It's showing results. I assume, he didn't mention that specific to Donaldson, but that was something he had to keep telling Donaldson. Not surprising, since he was, learning to be a running back. Now, what he did say about Donaldson is, he's healthy. He is working hard, playing well. He's looking good. And the running back room should be at least as good as we've been hoping, possibly better. A lot of the press conference was spent on talking about Jaheim White. And I think the most interesting thing is, once White learned last year that practicing well, as preparation before practice, practicing hard and well, staying focused, is what it takes to reach the top. He learned that finally with Donaldson's help, and he has remembered it and built upon it. So he is now very focused, taking notes, asking questions, and this true sophomore is actually helping coach some of the freshmen, said the younger players. And I'm thinking, man, it's hard to be younger, but we do have, of course, a number of freshmen who, some came in the spring, others who just got here. Can't say a lot about the two new running backs yet, but he did say, for what they're doing so far, they're looking good. He mentioned they're explosive, and then he specified Dunbar is explosive. Is it significant that Dunbar was the only one he picked out? I don't know, but he's the one who stood out in senior highlights. But he also had better blocking his senior year than Hubbard did. But things are looking good in that respect. And like Coach Brown, the coordinators are talking about being a contender. That's a focus. It's a word they're using. It's a word the players are using. Yeah. Um, we've moved up from I guarantee we won't be last to contender. And of course, I mean, that was always the intent. Now it's the language. Um, Interesting. He talked about with Garrett Green in the summer. Some days they'll kind of just have him go through his reads. Other days they'll tell him, if you see it, go for it. A little bit more freedom. And then he does some things. Some of them work, some of them don't. And that gives him a better idea of what he can and can't do. So come, when the season starts, you give him that freedom and he won't make the same mistakes. So they have been specifically giving him an opportunity to make mistakes so he can learn from them in a controlled environment. And I don't know to what degree that's done, but I like that they are doing it intentionally. Of course, that's a word that Coach Brown uses a lot. But he also said, the team overall has the confidence to take some risks. And I mean, that's important. You have to have that level. You have to know when not to take the risks. You have to have the confidence and the experience, the smarts, to know when yes, when no, without thinking about it. Ryder Burton, people wonder about him. So he is learning fast. I don't know who it was. They, somebody has mentioned that bringing Burton in allows them to open the game for Green and Marchiol because there's less concern if both Green and Marchiol were to get hurt. You've got Burton, so you don't have to protect Marchiol. It's reasonable. Of course, Burton is still a redshirt freshman. Learning fast is not the same as having been here for a couple of years. And nothing he said hinted at Burton taking over for Marchiol. Some people are saying by the middle of the season, some by next year. I'm not seeing it. But also has made it clear that Marchiol has taken a very large step so that if he does come in for Green, they do not have to make any changes in the game plan. Everything is open. All right. Thing I forgot to mention with White, Scott did specify we have not seen the best from White yet, and he still has a chip on his shoulder, and they're making sure it stays there. And Green has a chip on his shoulder. The team overall is still playing with that chip. They're playing focused. They're playing hard. 9-4 isn't good enough. Come on. You always, or you should, want better. Also mentioned with the wide receivers, they are stronger, which helps them get off of blocks, stay on their line, and it gives them more confidence because they know they can do these things. And as you well know, I have a lot of confidence in the wide receiver room. One thing you find different here from most of the channels, I will predict not games, but what will happen with the players. I'm not going to say, hey, they haven't done it yet. I say they are going to do it. The wide receivers are going to be very good. There will be about 6 of them that rotate a lot. They even throw in a few others at times. I do not expect one to stand out, greatly over the others. I think those 6 probably will have 3 of them that are up sort of tier 1 and then second tier. So you're not going to have a wide receiver with 1,500 yards. I think Green will spread the ball around a lot. And he should, because he has the receivers to do that. We have, I think, a scrimmage coming up sometime next week, and then there will be a second scrimmage. The first scrimmage should shake out where a lot of the players stand, who is most likely to play, which freshmen or redshirt freshmen are going to step up. So we'll probably have a lot to talk about after that. Did not get any injury updates. That is usually what Coach Brown does, and I think I did mention that in a previous video, but I have lost track. All right. I appreciate you listening. I do hope you'll share and all of that kind of stuff. I am going to sign off and maybe take some Excedrin. I'll see you later. So long.